Hey guys, Omni here. I just got back from seeing Uncharted. This is the live-action adaptation of the iconic video game series of the same name that was created by Naughty Dog for the PlayStation console. This is the first film that is out of the gate from Sony's new production studio that they've set aside specifically for adapting their video game-related IPs into the big screen and the small screen, PlayStation Productions. We'll be seeing more from them here in the future. We already have the Last of Us series that is coming to HBO, which we've been talking about quite a bit and we've been hearing quite a lot about. We've got a Twisted Metal show that is coming from them as well, and the next movie they got that's going to be coming out is a Ghost of Tsushima adaptation, which I'm really looking forward to because I loved that game. Also love the Uncharted series, and coming into this film was directed by Ruben Fleischer, who has done things like both Zombieland, Venom, a few other things that I actually have not seen. The screenplay is from a trio of writers, one of which has mostly done television, Rafe Lee Judkins, and a pair, Art Markham and Matt Holloway, who have worked on quite a few different things. The first Iron Man, Punisher Warzone, Transformers The Last Night, MIB International, as well as they will be working on the upcoming Craven film. The film follows a young Nathan Drake, who is played by Tom Holland, and we see how he kind of first runs into this adaptation, this version of how he runs into Victor Sullivan, played by Mark Wahlberg, and the kind of adventure that he gets roped into, kind of chasing after the legacy of his brother. There's a lot of elements, if you're familiar with the games, that you will be able to catch throughout this, a lot of Easter eggs. There's things that they're pulling from all across the franchise to kind of give it this smooth proto feel, as this is not yet the Nathan Drake that we will have met in the games. This is him kind of stepping into this world and learning how it works and getting thrown into this adventure and getting a taste for it. And it's a lot of fun, man. I think Tom Holland does a really good job at playing this proto Nathan Drake, this much younger in-between that we've seen. We've seen him very young in Uncharted 4, and we've seen him as an adult as we met him in the initial game. And I think that Tom Holland nails this kind of sweet spot where he's right in the middle of those two phases. And I can definitely see, as Tom Holland progresses, if this does further into a franchise, that we could get more or less the Nathan Drake that we're related to or familiar with in the games. Now, Mark Wahlberg, I think he hits Sully here and there throughout the ride, but most of the time I feel like I'm just watching Mark Wahlberg, play Mark Wahlberg. The accent, his mannerisms, all of that. Most of the time I'm just seeing Wahlberg. Thankfully, he has a really good chemistry that he's got developed with Tom Holland in this. So their back and forth, their banter feels natural for these two, given the situation that they're in. So I really kind of bought into that, at least. Now, this is obviously a different way that they met than versus in the game. So there's already some changes here happening in the story between how their relationship gets started. The relationship and the dynamic with his brother Sam is also changed up a little bit for them to adapt it in the way they want to. We also meet a young Chloe Frazer, played by Sophia Ali, and I think she does a really great job, actually, playing and capturing like a younger version of this character who's got these ties with Drake and these ties with Sully, and how we kind of see a little bit of how the friction develops between these two when we come and meet them later, when we first encounter her ourselves as the player in the games later in Drake's life. We get to actually see some of the kind of the dynamics that they had on an earlier stage, and it was pretty interesting to see that whole thing play out. In here, we also have Tati Gabrielle, who plays this art collector who runs an auction selling priceless items that has this prior relation with Sully, and also links us into our antagonist, played by Antonio Banderas. And they're pretty interesting characters as well. Just don't go into it expecting a villain that's got this elaborate backstory or who's a lot of depth. But for what he's got, for what he's playing, for the type of character they go with, Antonio Banderas is Antonio Banderas. He does a great job with this character. There's just not a whole lot to work with. He's kind of mustache twirling a little bit, but he services the plot just fine. As far as the story goes, they're all trying to find Ferdinand Magellan's lost treasure as he was trying to sail across the world, and there's this legendary treasure that had just never been recovered, and that's what they're after. Sully's got pieces of the puzzle, but he needs Nathan to come in and help because it's more than a one-man kind of job, and that's kind of how things are going. And they're trying to race Antonio Banderas to collecting the treasure itself, and it's a fun adventure. It's nothing spectacular. It doesn't really do a whole lot different than you've seen in any other globe-trotting, treasure-hunting kind of films. Of course, as always, like, here's the puzzle, here's the next piece of the puzzle, we're going here to find the thing, to move to here. Oh, it's actually over here. Well, it's over here. It's every adventure treasure hunt movie you've ever seen, just like the games, except that with the games, you know, we got all those action set pieces that are thrown in there. We got all the shooting elements. We got the humor, the banter of Nathan and his just merciless slaughter fest that he goes on. A lot of that's absent here. This is more about the adventure than it is the action set pieces. Don't get me wrong. There is some action in the film. It's sprinkled throughout, but it's not like a consistent thing. This is more about the journey, more about the unraveling of this mystery and the search for the treasure itself. And I like that it focuses on that. When we do hit a set piece, when we do get some action, it is pretty well thought out, and they take some inspiration from the games while doing some things that are purely their own. And I feel like I'm surprised this thing didn't happen in the games that they come up with. We see a little bit of it in the trailers with the ships on the helicopters. There's some really creative and inventive things that they do here as far as the action goes, but it's nothing mind-blowing. It does take a little while to finally get the gears rolling. I think this first third of the movie is a little bit slow, but once you get into the second act and into the third, I feel like the movie's kind of hit its stride and it kind of keeps on rolling from there. Not all the interactions feel natural, not all the dialogue is all that great, not every joke lands, but I feel like as far as seeing like these proto early stage versions of a lot of these characters, I can definitely see the groundwork of them working into those roles a little bit stronger with time. I definitely see them laying the groundwork for building this, I don't want to say universe, but building this story up to what we are familiar with as the gamers, the people that have played the series. And there are a couple post-credit scenes, and there's definitely a lot of Easter eggs in here that definitely a lot of people that have played the games are going to recognize. Aside from his voice, which is not really something I can really fault Tom Holland for, as far as his personality, the way he plays Nathan, I think I can definitely see him evolving into the Nathan Drake that we know and love. I feel like he's got all of the elements, the charisma and all of that here. I know initially when I heard the casting, I was like, I don't know. But watching it, I can see Nathan in his performance in a lot of ways, especially a younger version of the character. Same with Sophia playing Chloe. I can see all of these elements in here. And I think a lot of it works. A lot of it doesn't. Like, it is a mixed bag. I do think it's above average as far as your average movie-going experience. I had fun with it. I wasn't bored at all throughout the film. I'd probably give this like a solid 6, maybe 7 if I'm feeling generous, but I think I'll go to stay at about a 6, above average. I had a blast with it. It doesn't do anything that blows me out of the water. It doesn't do anything that really makes me go, why'd they do that? Or anything of the sort. I think the worst thing this movie does is cast Mark Wahlberg to play Mark Wahlberg playing Sully, but it doesn't hurt the film because the chemistry he has with Tom is fine enough to get me through a lot of the journey. But yeah, the visuals are fine. You can definitely tell a lot of it's green screened. You can tell a lot of the time that's not actually Tom Holland, but when you can, it's Tom Holland and he's doing as many of the stunts as he can get through. And you know, it's fun. It was fun. It was fun. I know this is getting mixed reviews, as I expect it to, because like I said, it's definitely by no means a flawless film whatsoever. And I even in my live chat earlier today that a lot of people were like not giving it the greatest of marks. So maybe I just went in with low expectations and came with my head just above water out of this experience and came out of it just having a good time. That's all I did. I ate an entire large bucket of popcorn through this thing, and I had fun. That's all I can ask, man. But guys, what did you think? Sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Feel free to join our Discord. We can talk about it there. Links to that and all my socials in the description box below. I'd really appreciate it if you follow me. If you're new, subscribe. And before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends: Mandy Shara, Ryan Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yori Korskov, Margaret Grace, Mary Bradley, Nate Prouty, and Melita. Thank you guys so much for your support as always. But that's it for this video, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody.